Welcome to Lancaster County Democrats' Watchful Citizen Show. Today we're going to be talking about Nebraska's first ever caucus system to go and select a presidential candidate for this year for the Democrats. My name is Barbara Beyer, and we have several new caucus leaders, and our guests today are Amanda Houck and Chris Kelly and Howard Bailey. Welcome to our show.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
Well, let's go and ask you, what can you tell us about the caucus system? I know that you've all gone through training. Maybe you can go and tell our viewers a little bit about what you've learned. Amanda.
Well, how it works, if that's what you want me to start with,
Yeah.
is that the caucuses are set on your precinct, and you can find where your precinct will be caucusing at on the website, which I believe you have.
Yes,
Okay.
it should be coming up on the screen.
Okay. And you can type in your address there. You'll go to that site, and at that site, your precinct leaders will guide you into where you should be going to. Your caucus leader will then take over, guide you through the process of the caucus, which will then, you'll be able to vote in effect for for who you want for the state to nominate for president. And that person will then proceed on to county level and potentially state and national levels for the leaders for the Democratic Party.
Well, very good. That sounds very good. So now you've all attended a training. Where does that training take place at?
That takes place at the CWO building on N Street and 25th.
Okay, 25th and N. And what did you learn there, Chris?
Well, quite a bit about the Iowa caucus had kind of, as somewhat of a novice to this, surprised me a little bit, and the rationale behind the caucus process was really something that I think they did a good job of explaining to us. So we have an opportunity to really get to meet other Democrats, not necessarily Democrats that necessarily support the same presidential candidate, but people that we have a lot in common with. And I really felt more comfortable understanding the caucus process, how different members might be asked to stand up and speak on behalf of the presidential candidates, explain why it is that we are supporting him or her, and also have the opportunity to hear other person's viewpoints and maybe change our minds a little bit, maybe begin to think about candidates in a different light.
So this is where we can get together with our neighbors and get to know each other not only as neighbors but as fellow Democrats.
I think so. I think that it really gives a chance to build a grassroots party in a way unlike the primary, where you simply go in and file a vote and really not exchange much information with the people that are voting with you. It's, I think, a much more interactive kind of organic process.
Very good. Well, Howard, as you went into the caucus training, what did you learn from it? Were there any surprises along the way?
Not really. The training was very good in that we went through the caucus process rather than being described before we did it. We did it and then asked questions about it afterwards. And I thought that was a very good way of doing it. The whole process was very helpful to me.
Are any of you going and encouraging your neighbors now to go and be part of the caucus system?
I have emailed several of my friends and told them about the dates and where it was and encouraged them to take part in it. Whether they will or not, I don't know.
So what are the dates of the caucus?
Every Sunday, Tuesday, and Thursday night at 7.
Those are the trainings?
Those are the training. Oh, the caucus is on Saturday, February the 9th.
Okay.
And it starts at 6 o'clock.
6 o'clock.
I believe that's correct, isn't it?
Yes, it is. And so Amanda had mentioned how we all can find out where we need to go. You might explain that again.
Okay, on the website, I don't want to give the address, I'm not exactly sure on the exact address, I have it bookmarked.
It's www.nebcaucus.com.
That's what I thought it was, but so you go there, and on the home page, about the middle of the screen is going to be a place where you can type in your address. And if you type in your address as it guides you to, it'll pop up then and tells you where you will be having your caucus site at, because it's not where you vote at. These are a little bit larger sites usually. I know I'm going to be a leader at one of the sites that has 8 precincts grouped together, because it's a little bit easier to have 52 sites than 123, 133. or 233 is what I believe it was.
And it's a little bit different than the primary in talking with family members in Sarpy and Douglas counties. Different counties start the caucus at different times. And I know that Lancaster County is later in the day than Omaha and Sarpy County. And so, and I found it to be just as easy to Google Nebraska Democratic Party, and that will also take you right to the caucus website as well.
I think that's a very good suggestion. Well, tell us, why did you get involved? Amanda, are you a lifelong Democrat?
I registered as a Democrat the day after I turned 18, so
Good.
It's been rapidly approaching 9 years since I've been registered as a Democrat. And my parents were both registered as Democrats and have voted as such. And I was always encouraged when we were growing up to follow the political process and to understand exactly what politics were doing and how your leaders that you're electing, how they say one thing perhaps, and then they're going to act another way. But so you need to look at who your candidates are and how they vote and how they act towards their people that support them. And so I've always been a Democrat since I registered to vote, and I voted, and so.
And Chris, what are you new to the political system? Or?
Well, much like Amanda, I've always been interested in politics, but in recent years really become aware of how important it is to get involved on the state and local level. Presidential elections will come and go, but I think it's important to really start to build a base and to really start to support local candidates here, and really to start to take advantage, I think, of a lot of enthusiasm around this presidential race this year. A lot of strong candidates. I don't want to see the party lose that momentum after February 9th. I'd really like to be part of starting something bigger.
I think that's a really important point that we as Democrats want to emphasize, and that is the sense of building community through the caucus process, but in general. This is a time where I feel that a lot of people in the United States want to see change, and this is a good time to get involved. Howard, what are some of the things that have brought you into this process?
One, I'm generally curious.
Good.
But I have been a Democrat all of my life. But also, I took 5 of the questionnaires that are on the internet. One on the USA Today site, another one on Washington Post, and another one, a couple of others. And I was surprised at the way my scores turned out. They ask a number of questions dealing with, and then give the answers that the candidates have given. And then you pick the one which is closest to you. And I came up with, kind of, in one sense, a surprise in terms of each of the 5. But 4 of the 5 were the same. And then because of that, I saw the announcement for the caucus, and I have not been actively involved in the Democratic Party. And I was curious as to what it was going to be like, so I went to the training. And when I learned that there was going to be a mass group in our area, I live in an apartment complex, and so we're using the clubhouse as the precinct meeting place for our caucus. And that's in the apartment complex where I live. So I thought that would be better to get to know people in the neighborhood than going to where there's going to be 12 or 13 different caucuses all at once.
Very good, very good. So you're really motivated to go and get to know your neighbors and see where they're coming from, and
Yes.
and working from that basis.